live.
Yo, what's good, Knicks Nation? Welcome back for another Game of the Week preview. Of course, we got to preview this match between the New York Knicks and the Dallas Mavericks. And who better to join me today is none other than my guy, Bibs. Michael Bibb is on the other side. You can catch him covering the Dallas Mavericks. All right? So make sure to lock in, tap in, and make sure to hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Make sure to share the links to all these videos and make sure to support our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code KFTV. Use that promo code to get up to a $100 match. And Bibs covers the Mavericks. I didn't say it, for the Mavs Outsiders Podcast. So make sure to catch him. He's one half of the group. So make sure to catch in on that show if you want to be updated on how the Dallas Mavericks are doing this season. But before we get into, well, Bibs, how are you doing first? You know, we got so much because we got injury updates and everything going on for your team. You don't know if Kyrie's going to play. We're going to see if Jalen Brunson's going to play tomorrow. How are you doing, though?
I'm doing about as good as these teams' injury reports. It's day to day. I don't know what I'm going to be feeling when I wake up. I don't know how I'm gonna feel before or after a game. I don't know if I'm going to have all the facilities available to me as I enter a day. So, you know, my mood is about as turbulent as these injury reports.
Interesting. Turbulent for a team that is 28 and 23 in the Western Conference. And what, they're in playing category right now? Is that why it is? Is it because they're in playing category and Kyrie and Luka are constantly in and out of the lineup?
It's been a slow, steady drop through the standings. I think we were up at like 3 or 4 for a while and just slowly have just slid down into the play-in range, looking at potentially sliding out. I just don't know, man. It's just day to day. I can't tell. We might win a game and I'll wake up feeling like we lost. That's how I feel with this team right now.
You know, that's the way the Knicks fan base almost felt yesterday after watching. Even though we defeated the Memphis Grizzlies, it became a cardiac Knick affair when, after having a 20-point lead in the fourth quarter, it started to dwindle all the way down to 4. Thankfully, Dante DiVincenzo was able to secure the game for the Knicks, but Jalen Brunson rolled his ankle within the winding minutes of the fourth quarter. So it seems like he's okay. Let's go check in on what Ian Begley had to say from last night and get the update on how Brunson is feeling after last night's game. Let's see. Let's get Ian up here on the screen, and then we can talk about it.
So far that the belief is Jalen Brunson has avoided a severe ankle injury. That's the initial read on it tonight. Now, Brunson, we saw him walking out of the locker room area. He was walking slowly, a little gingerly. No limp, though. No crutches, nothing on his ankle, so that's a good sign, too. You saw Josh Hart walking with him. Hart seemed to hurt his knee, but he was moving normally, too, as they walked out of the arena.
Yeah.
There you go. There you have it. Jalen Brunson was walking normally after rolling his ankle last night. Josh Hart seems to be okay, too. You saw he was also getting banged up towards the end of the game last night. Look, we already have a thin enough roster as it is. No Julius, no OG Anunoby, no Mitchell Robinson. Okay, Quentin Grimes has been out. The last thing we need is Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart out there being injured, just because this team will be the Westchester Knicks for all intensive purposes. So, not sure if Jalen Brunson's going to be back tomorrow, but let me ask you something, Biz, because Brunson's been having an MVP type caliber season. What is the status of the Dallas Mavericks fan base watching Brunson thrive in New York?
So, you know, I'm going to speak for other people because I said this before he left. I'm in a different stratosphere when it comes to how I feel about Jalen Brunson than what the other Mavs fans are dealing with. A lot of stress, a lot of, you know, we should have kept Jalen. You know, what if we had Jalen and didn't have Kyrie type stuff, like things that maybe wouldn't have been said a couple years ago, and people would have said it was crazy if you suggested that you wanted Jalen Brunson instead of Kyrie. But the best ability is availability. So whether you think Kyrie is a better player than Jalen Brunson or not, he's missed almost half our games. And Jalen Brunson is hooping. He's continued to progress as he has his entire career. Every year he's gotten better. Even the year before he left the Mavs, if you look at the first few games before he started, the games after he started, and then the playoffs, he took a leap at every juncture. And I'm not too surprised. He maybe taking it a little bit higher than I thought he could. but I've been a fan of his since college. I said he was on that Kyle Lowry trajectory of eventually getting his own team and being potential all-star. And I mean, he's taking it all the way, and the Knicks are rolling. I have to love it for him personally.
Well, I'm glad that you love what Brunson is doing for the Knicks, but how's the fan base? Like, it seems like they're split on whether or not they wanted to keep him or just let him walk.
So going back, like I said, a lot of people didn't want to pay him going into the season. A lot of people said, he's not worth this, he's not worth that. If his number goes above 90 mil, there were people saying if his number goes above 75 mil for 4 years, they want to do it. Things like that. As the year went on, maybe people creeped up to 100, but it was still everybody had a cap to how much they were willing to pay him. Regardless, it seemed like at a certain point he felt offended by the way the team treated him. He was ready to go. Me personally, I have to respect his decision making because he wanted that small extension. I think it was like 47, 50 million, something like that. And he wanted it. He wanted the job security to know that he wasn't going to be traded, and the Mavericks didn't want to give it to him. So there are people that are on his side saying, the Mavs mistreated him. And he was an unrestricted free agent. He did what he had to do for himself. And then you have those that are upset. I have seen people initially when it happened, people were mad at Mark Cuban. Now we've gotten more comfortable with Nico Harrison. He was the GM at the time. And so now people are putting that on his ledger as far as a mistake that he made and not fighting to keep Jalen Brunson. Whether or not Mark was the one saying, I don't want to pay this amount, people saying Nico should have pushed back harder because he has to know the type of player that Jalen is and was developing into.
Well, on behalf of the Knicks fan base, thank you for giving us, our answer at the point guard position that we've been lacking for the last 20 years. And now, look, the way he's been playing, he's put himself into MVP type consideration just because how he's helped transform this team, not only last season, but this season. Like I said, we have a plethora of injuries on this team. We're talking about no Julius Randle, no OG Anunoby, no Quentin Grimes. And you just watch last night, 17 points in the first quarter alone. He's just making it look like it's just practice out there, and he makes the game look way too easy. And when someone makes the game look way too easy, that only tells you the amount of work that he puts in to be that great. So I'm happy that he's a Knick. I'm happy that he's helping transcend this team. And now we're talking about the Knicks tied for third place right now, even though they're currently fourth. Yeah, no, now they're fourth. Sorry. I misspoke. They are fourth right now in the Eastern Conference. They're 33-18. Bucks have a half a game ahead. But look, they're close in the Eastern Conference standings with the Sixers dealing with a Joel Embiid injury. It's open for that number 2 spot. In all honesty, I mean, the Cavs are right there. They're also a half a game ahead. Jalen Brunson's just been phenomenal for this team. But let me ask you about your Mavericks. You got Kyrie now as I guess, I don't know if you want to call it the second place trophy, the bridesmaid, whatever you want to call it. But Kyrie's still a phenomenal player in his own right when he's healthy and on the court. I mean, we just played you guys earlier this season. He alone dropped over 40 points to help the Mavs win. Just critical. He's a clutch shot maker. His handles are insane. He can finish around the rim at any angle possible. This guy is just an elite talent when you watch him and he's healthy. What's the pairing of Luka and Kyrie been for the Mavericks this season so far?
Yeah, I think going back to when we first were able to make the acquisition, there was a lot of talk about Luka being the best first quarter scorer, Kyrie being the best fourth quarter scorer, and how, they're just going to get buckets all day. And that kind of has been the case when they're together. But I mentioned it earlier, Kyrie has missed 22 of our 51 games. That is almost half of the games that he's missed this season. And if he's not there, he can't do the things that we need him to do. Coming into this season, I talked about the fact that, I know Kyrie is going to miss games. I know Luka's probably going to miss games because he's going to be carrying such a tremendous load. He's going to have wear and tear. He's a big guy. He gets beat up all game long, and he's going to have those nicks. He's going to miss games. I think he's missed 8 or so far this year. When we get to the playoffs, if we get to the playoffs, I do not fear any team with those two on the court. I said that. I don't care if we're the 8th seed. You put Luka and Kyrie on the court together, anything is possible. You mentioned Kyrie get 40, Luka get 40. Luka's pretty much putting up a 49-9 every game for the past since 2024 started.
Insane.
Doing whatever he wants. But again, it's those two. And you don't know who else is going to show up on a game-to-game basis. Tim Hardaway Jr. had a goose egg the other night. Josh Green, sometimes he's scared of the basketball. Sometimes he drops 20. You never know what you're going to get. Grant Williams had 24, I believe, recently. Maxi Kleber had like a 20-point game, and he's been out for like 40 games. We just don't know who's going to actually show up alongside him. So as far as those two go, it goes back to what I said about Jalen Brunson while he was here. I don't think it's an ideal pairing to put Luka beside another guy that needs the ball to be their best self, a guy that is not necessarily a defender. I want him next to a guy that's more of a catch and shoot guy that can put it on the ground from time to time, but also is a good defender. Again, when you have two offensive powerhouses like that, you can beat anybody. But our defense is atrocious, and that's where our problems are pretty much lie. Besides,
yeah, for sure. I mean, when I was looking at the stats, we're going to talk about key stats when we get into the matchup and get into the meat of this conversation. But I was looking at your defensive stats. I'm like, this is just woeful. I mean, Knicks, when they played them, it came down to who was going to make shots in the fourth quarter of that matchup. And you just see it when I tune into the Mavs and I watch them this season. Like you said, you got Kyrie, you got Luka. They're phenomenal talents, man. They can you're going to be in games with those guys. Is defensively, can they maintain? And so let's talk about the rest of the roster then. The way that the Mavericks have shaped this roster to fit Luka and Kyrie Irving. Obviously, it's not perfect because of the defensive issues. What more do you need to see happen?
So it goes back to, again, another thing that I thought was pretty obvious at the beginning of the season. Derek Lively is a great fit. We want a rim roller, a defensive big that can kind of guard on the perimeter a little bit, but mostly we need somebody to protect the paint. But he's by himself. We don't have another big on the roster that does that. Dwight Powell is stopping absolutely no one at the rim. Rashawn Holmes has never been a guy that's going to stop anybody at the rim. And Maxi Kleber, I don't know if his toe fell off or what, but his body just keeps falling apart every time that you play him at center for extended minutes. We need another center. We need a veteran, most likely center, to take some of those shots. Lively, when he plays, excellent. Our defense jumps up to, I think, top half of the league when he's on the court, but he's injured because he's taking all of that beating. He's a rookie. His body isn't quite as developed. He's still growing and developing. Besides that, we don't really have any big wing defenders. Luka would be our big wing defender. He's just the 6'8". He's got the body, but we can't have Luka out there defending people if he has to score 50 points a night. So that's out of the question. Derek Jones Jr. is taking on some of those assignments. He's a stick figure. He's long and skinny. Josh Green takes some of those assignments, but he's shorter and he cannot navigate a screen to save his life. Grant Williams cannot guard on the perimeter. He's a solid interior defender when he's getting back down, but he cannot guard on the perimeter, and he's not catching anybody at the rim as a cleanup guy. So we just don't have the personnel. So if I were to say what we need a big wing defender. Shout out to the Knicks for going and getting OG Anunoby. That's a guy that my girl SJ Basketball 8 on Twitter has been trying to get OG in a Mavericks uniform for 2-3 years now. The Knicks made that move. Excellent move. Obviously, it's paid off for you guys. Big wing defender, rim protector, backup center, and maybe I feel a little bit better about this team overall.
Salute to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning in for another Game of the Week preview. With me on the other side is my guy, Michael Bibbins. You can call him Bibs. He's one half of the Mavs Outsiders Podcast. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button for your boys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Make sure to share the links as well. So, Bibbs, you talk about needs, a wing defender. Obviously, the Knicks got OG Anunoby. Great for us. Another guy that was out there that was potentially needed for the Mavericks at the 4 position, Pascal Siakam. He's now over at the Indiana Pacers. Are there any other moves that you're looking for the Mavericks to make? I mean, you got the trade deadline tomorrow. Another name out there is possibly Jeremy Grant, who might be a great fit for the Mavs. What are your thoughts about Grant, or is there another player that you're thinking of for the Dallas Mavericks?
So for a long time, I've been a guy who has tried to find those perfect fits next to a Luka Doncic, players that I would like to see him play with. Two guys I put at the top of my list going way back. This is 2-3 years. PJ Washington and Gary Trent Jr. I haven't heard any rumblings about Gary Trent Jr. being traded. I'm going to leave that one alone for now. We have like a glut at the guard position at this point. We depending on who we traded, I'm not sure how he slots in, especially again with Kyrie there. We're not going to play Luka, Kyrie, Gary Trent Jr. most likely. PJ Washington, however, would fulfill a tremendous need. I penciled him in as a Maxi Kleber type player, a power forward with length who can he's underrated, I think, as a defender. When you play for a team as bad as the Charlotte Hornets, it's hard to really go all in every night. You know what I mean? But if you watch him during games, you watch him on film, he has all the tools to be that guy. He can hit the three as a spot up shooter. He makes hustle plays from time to time. He's a high IQ player. He's a guy, again, I've watched him since college. He's a guy that stayed an extra year to learn the game more and came back more polished. I feel like he's being wasted in Charlotte personally. I would love to get him into that 4 spot, add a little bit. It's weird. He's a 6'7" power forward, but he's adding size at the power forward for us. Grant Williams is our power forward currently. He's undersized. Derrick Jones Jr. is playing some power forward for us. He's smaller than PJ Washington. I think that would be my number one target right now. Has been my number one target for a couple of years now, and there have been rumblings. So I'm holding out hope that Nico gets something done for me.
Well, I mean, the Charlotte Hornets just stink. You know, you talk about wasted talent there. I mean, wasted talent for everybody over there. I mean, even LaMelo Ball deserves better than what he's getting out in Charlotte right now. But hey, that is what the Charlotte Hornets are all about. You can almost pencil them in for a loss on the regular. But PJ Washington, that's an interesting name. I mean, he did go to high school out in Texas, so that would kind of be a slight homecoming for him. Might be a good fit, man. But you're not in on the Jeremy Grant idea. I just want to close the loop on that.
You did bring up Jeremy Grant. So yeah, Jeremy Grant is a guy I probably would have wanted 3 years ago. I don't know. I feel like and this might sound contradictory to what I just said, but he's been not playing winning basketball for a long time now. I'm not sure I see the hunger on a regular basis. Maybe it could come back. The contract is atrocious. So what are we sending out to get him? That's going to be a big question for me. As far as a player, as far as what he's capable of, I would not be completely mad about it if we were to get a Jeremy Grant. He does fit that mold as well as that big wing defender, which I said we kind of need. But as of right now, I'll put PJ Washington ahead of Jeremy for sure.
Okay, there you have it. There you have it. PJ Washington over Jeremy Grant is what Bibs is telling us right now. So with the trade deadline coming up tomorrow and having to deal with the current roster as is, I got to ask you about Jason Kidd, because I know last year you were down on him. Are you still down on him, or has he made some improvements?
I'm still very much down on Jason Mid.
Jason Mid,
the most mid coach of all time. Probably.
Is that just you calling him mid, or is that something the fan base is calling him?
I've been calling him mid since before we hired him. Like he's mid. I can't call him a horrible coach. I can't call him a good coach, but just straight down the middle. He's not gonna move the needle for a team. He's not gonna get in the huddle and draw up a dynamic play that's gonna change something. He's not gonna make a smart substitution at the right time. He's gonna annoy me for most of the time, and I pretty much am just enduring him as it goes. I can't say I can give him some credit for being a little bit more experimental with the lineups and rotations this year. He was a lot more hesitant to play young guys previously. And some people would say he's still hesitant. Omax Prosper is a 6'8" wing that we have on our bench. We're struggling with size on the wing. People feel like he should be playing more. I personally can't really say that, because when I watch him play, he's very much out of control still. But for me, Jason Kidd is just not a needle mover. He doesn't do anything. I can't think of a single thing he's done this year that has excited me as far as any decision making that he's doing. I personally wish there was a way to get him up out of that coaching position, but Mark Cuban doesn't fire people, so we're probably stuck with him for a while.
Oh wow, how long is the contract for Jason Kidd?
I want to say they gave him a 4-year, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
No extension yet, but again, unless Luka comes out and says I need Jason Kidd gone, I can't see Jason Kidd going anywhere.
Wow. Okay. Jason Kidd, not a fan favorite. Is it just for you, or is there a part of the fan base that actually likes Jason Kidd?
not a part of the fan base that I associate with.
Oh,
Most people, as far as I'm concerned, most people that I see are not Jason Kidd fans for one reason or another, whether it's they don't like his history, they don't think he should have gotten the job. A lot of people, myself included, wanted Jamal Mosley to get that job back in the day, not only because of the relationship with Luka, but because of the way the team responded to him when he did have to step in as an interim coach. We feel like Jamal Mosley got a raw deal as he was going out the door. Rick Carlisle endorsing Kidd over his assistant, things of that nature. So personally, like I'm very happy for Jamal Mosley right now. The season he's having in Orlando, he clearly, in my opinion, has shown he's a better coach than Jason Kidd.
okay. And so now we know your feelings on Jason Kidd. You want him out of there. Part of the Dallas Mavericks fan base wants him out of there. What do you need to see J Kidd do in order to get on like the fan base's good side? Is it just, you talked about him being more experimental with the lineups this year. What else does he need to do?
So some people he'll never win them over because people were just not feeling him as a coach. Some people want him to be harder on Luka. Some people feel like he lets Luka get away with way too much as far as the complaining and things of that nature. We would like to see him draw up a play every time, end of a game, end of a shot clock. We already know what the play is. Give the ball to Luka and see what happens. There's no back cutting. There's no interesting screening, no decoys. It's Luka comes out to half court and gets the ball, and we'll pray for whatever. We'll pray for the best. Like Luka's gonna throw up a heave, whatever the case may be. That's been his go-to play since he's been there. Get the ball to Luka and hope for the best. That's annoying. He's not the only person that can take a shot, and if he is, get him the ball in a place that makes sense. The fact that every single time, 5 seconds left, 4 seconds left, 3 seconds left, 1 second left, we know exactly what you're going to do, and it has failed most of the time, it's frustrating as a fan.
Okay. And so with that being said then, and the way the construction of this roster and everything, what's your feeling on the Dallas Mavericks making the postseason or going far in the postseason this year?
I don't even want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Uh-oh.
You saw what happened last year. You saw what happened last year, right?
I know. We're still angry over here because we had that pick of yours, and then you were like, you know what? We're gonna rest Kyrie. We're gonna rest Luka. No picks for the Knicks. I mean, we still have your pick this year, so hopefully you'd be kind enough, to make the playoffs, so that way we can get something, But you're about to tell me something otherwise. So
that's exactly where I'm going with this. So if we're in a position where, team's still injured, Kyrie's not going to be healthy going into the playoffs, Luka's not going to be healthy going into the playoffs, we haven't made a move to bring somebody in that gives us a shot in the arm to feel like we can still make a run this year, I would not be surprised to see a repeat of the tankathon at the end of the season where we try to keep that pick again. It worked out for us last year. We got Derek Lively. He looks like a cornerstone piece. Do not be surprised if the Mavs are on the edge of the play-in with the going into that last month of the season. Would not be surprised if Luka starts resting all of a sudden, if Kyrie starts resting all of a sudden, and we stay out of that playoff picture. I don't want to see that happen personally, but we don't have assets, and that's a way to play with the asset pool. I apologize, Knicks fans. I know y'all want this pick, and it looks like a pretty solid. It's a mid-round pick right now, the way we're playing. That would be a heck of a pick to get with the way your team is playing. You got a lot of young players. You can add some more young talent to that group. But again, Mark Cuban and these guys, they're gonna maneuver whatever way they feel is the best for the team. And if that means missing the playoffs again, then they'll do that.
That's nasty work. I'm not gonna lie to you, Bibs. That's nasty work. If I gotta watch the Dallas Mavericks not make the postseason, and then we lose out on this, and then it essentially becomes 2 second rounders. That's gonna be a little aggravating. Look, man, I get that we got Jalen Brunson. I get that we're, the KP trade. I don't even know who's worked out for at this point. I mean, I guess it's worked out for nobody because we're still waiting on picks for Dallas, and we're still waiting. You're still waiting for the team to turn around, even though you guys got Luka. I get that we got Brunson, but can we get a little sweetener too? We just need that draft pick. We just need that draft pick. But salute to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning in for another Game of the Week preview. With me on the other side is my guy, Bibs. You can go catch him at the Mavs Outsiders Podcast. He's one half of the show. And make sure to hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Make sure to share the links to all these videos and also support our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Guys, I just played Underdog last night. If you didn't catch last night's post game, I did win. I got some change to go buy a bottle of milk for my son. Okay, that's how much money I won last night. I got enough change because I chose the insured route. All right, put $5 down, came back with $12.50 so I can go buy my son a bottle of milk. Yes, we're talking about this economy. So anyway, you know what it is. Make sure to go join. You can choose any sport you like, NFL, MLB, NBA, whatnot. You can mix and match across all sports. You can choose anywhere between 2 to 5 players in any statistical category. You know, for NBA, it could be points, rebounds, assists. That is what it is. You can choose any of those things. All you got to do is just make sure that you choose 2 players who are not on the same team. So you can't choose 2 Knicks and then put in a slip. You need to have a Knick, so let's say the Knicks and someone from the Mavericks for tomorrow, or any other player that you may choose. And guys, it's a lot of fun. We also did a draft last night, and I won. That's right, CP. I know you're producing the show, but I won. That's right. Understand that, CP. I won, and I beat the brakes off your team, 309 to 260. That's right. That's how good this 2-person fantasy draft is. So everyone out there, make sure to download the app. Make sure to go to the web browser, whatever fits your fancy. Use that promo code KFTV to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. All right. Let's get into this matchup, Bibs. We are playing a game tomorrow. Had to get through the storylines first. And the first thing I like to start off with is some key stats, man. I was talking, like I told you at the beginning of the show, I was looking at the statistics for the Dallas Mavericks. And you guys, defensively, the Knicks should be, if this was a fully healthy Knicks team, they should be licking their chops as they did before. But we are not a fully healthy Knicks team. I don't even know if Jalen Brunson's playing tomorrow, even though it seems like he's fine. I don't know if they want to go along the route of saying we're going to rest him because we got the All-Star break coming up. But at the same time, it's a tight Eastern Conference standings. He may play tomorrow just to keep pace with the other teams in the East. So I'm going to work under the assumption that even though I think it would make sense to rest him, I'm going to go with the Tom Thibodeau brain and say he's playing if he's good to go. All right. So if that's the case, I'm looking at this as still a good opportunity for the Knicks offense to take advantage of the Dallas Mavericks defense. When you guys come to opponent second chance points, that's where the Knicks thrive. You guys are ranked 22nd. When it comes to fast break points, Mavericks 27th. And we got Josh Hart and guys who like to push the pace as well. Opponents' points in the paint. You know, we had 70 points last night to the Memphis Grizzlies 40. This is another area where the Mavericks struggle. No paint protection. I see the Knicks thriving in this area. What do you think about that?
Yeah, again, with the Mavericks, we know Derek Lively is probably going to be out. He's got the broken nose. Dante Exum also probably going to be out. Luka, Kyrie, Maxi Kleber, they are the guys that from game to game, I really don't know who's going to play. Regardless, with Derek Lively out, as you said, no paint protection whatsoever in this game. So layup line to the rim. That also means no rebounding besides Luka. Really, he had 18 rebounds the other night because nobody else on his team rebounds. Wow. If Luka's the guy that's going to be rebounding, if knowing that the Knicks, y'all are just going to do your best to keep him off the glass, and that's going to be an ugly affair for us. But if Luka and Kyrie play, they're going to get buckets. So I do expect this to end up being a high scoring game on both sides. It's going to come down the stretch. Luka likes to get up for games against guys that he has personal beefs with of some nature or personal friendships with. So Luka and Jalen are still cool. I think they still do their Eagles versus Cowboys bets where the other one has to wear the other's jersey, whoever loses. And so Luka's definitely going to get up for this. There's going to be a lot of talk and a lot of back and forth between those two. I just don't expect a lot of defense on our end. I can't speak for you guys.
The thing that worries about this game for me is that the Knicks are 20th right now after the OG Anunoby trade with defending opponents in the fast break. So with Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic. I know they like to get up and down the court as much as possible, especially Kyrie. So that's my biggest concern for this Knicks team, especially considering that we're undermanned. So that's like my biggest concern. But the thing is that you have Luka and Kyrie. So offensively, we had OG Anunoby out there try to stop Kyrie. No one can stop Kyrie. Okay. I mean, the man is so crafty. You have no idea what direction he's going to go, whether or not he's going to pull from three, mid range, attack the rim. He's just a difficult cover. I don't look for anyone to really stop Kyrie. If you could try to contain him, that's great. And then I'm wondering who's going to have to guard Luka tomorrow, because if we had OG, I would say, you know what, you put OG on Luka and then you put Dante on Kyrie, just because I feel like anyone guarding Kyrie at this point, that would be just, it's not going to work, man. It's not going to work. So don't stress too much over that, but stop the guy that's just dropped 70 recently. But we don't have OG tomorrow. I don't see Precious, even though he has the height to match Luka, but I'm thinking it might be a Josh Hart affair, who is on the shorter side, is more physical, has the strength, could work against Luka when he's trying to get in, work his way in the paint. So even with that matchup, I'm still a little terrified, because Josh Hart, solid defender, not a great defender. So that's my area of concern for the Knicks tomorrow if I'm looking at this game. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so Luka is a guy. Man, I think my feed when I got. I'm gonna keep talking just in case my feed didn't break. But Luka is a guy. He's gonna play to his matchup. So if you put a Josh Hart on him, he's gonna try to get inside, body him up, get him into foul trouble, things of that nature. That probably is your best bet on him. But like you said, who do you put on Kyrie? I like the idea that you put out there as far as Dante. I could see Josh Hart and Precious maybe switching on Luka, switching that in and out if Luka tries to get inside just to put some length on him. But it's going to be interesting to see how y'all decide to play him. You mentioned Kyrie's a guy you can't really do much with. Luka's kind of the same. He's not a guy that you're going to put a stopper on. And I would say pretty much probably the same for Jalen Brunson. He's another guy who's crafty. He's going to play to his matchup. I expect we'll put Josh Green on him, which Jalen is familiar with Josh. Josh Green, him and Quentin Grimes are pretty much the same player as far as I'm concerned. They look like they could be twin brothers. They play pretty much the exact same game. They're statistically pretty much the exact same player. It's hilarious to me watching those two guys. But Jalen, so again, he's well versed against a guy like that. He knows him personally. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. We may put Derrick Jones Jr. on him for some length, but Jalen, again, is going to figure out a way to make that matchup work for him either way. For me, the problem comes from the others. So DiVincenzo, my guy from Delaware, probably going to get buckets on us, because whoever you put on him, Jalen's going to get in the paint. Our defense is going to get caught looking, and y'all are going to get a lot of wide open threes. Hartenstein, we know he can get loose from out there if he wants to. He's not a guy that's trying to be inside, so if we get sucked in, there's that. We only have one big on the roster right now that cares about rim protection. And so again, Jalen penetrates. That guy's going to be gone. He's probably not going to be paying attention to his man. I expect the Knicks to get a lot of good looks, and that's where the problem comes for me is, will the Knicks hit the threes or not? If you hit them, got a chance of blowing us out. If you don't hit them, then it's probably going to be a long night for everybody.
For sure. And that's why this game, when it comes to my key matchup, everybody, it is Jalen Brunson versus Luka Doncic. Not Kyrie Irving, okay? Luka Doncic, because he's back this time. He didn't play last time they played the Dallas Mavericks. These guys, as you mentioned, they play at their own pace, man. Like Kyrie, he can change his gears, and so can Brunson, so can Luka. But when I think about a slow, methodical way to get to your spots and still be able to get a shot off, that's where I see in Jalen Brunson and Luka Doncic. Obviously, both guys are having a phenomenal season, so it's going to be a real testament to seeing who's got the offensive production in tomorrow's game. As you see on the stats right here, look, you got Luka with 37. He's averaging close to 11 rebounds per game, 10 assists per game, shooting 49% from the field, 34 from three, 76 from the free throw line over these last 10 games. For Brunson, he's averaging close to 33 points, 4 rebounds per game, 7 assists, shooting 52% from the field, 35% from downtown, 86 from the free throw line. This is going to be a good offensive affair tomorrow. So I like everything for in this matchup. It's going to be fun. What do you think about this matchup moving forward?
I'm sorry, I'm still stressed.
You're still stressed.
I thought we would be able to get rid of the whole Knicks Mavs beef after the KP trade, and then
Absolutely not.
Jalen decides to go there, and we're locked in for as long as both of these guys.
Look, we still have your draft pick. It is not over at all.
That draft pick, I cannot wait for that draft pick to convey for multiple reasons. But yeah, Luka and Jalen being good friends and now all stars, MVP candidates, like this is a fun matchup, man. Like I can't lie, it's two of the biggest media cities in the country, and two guys that have the ball in their hands a lot. They can go for 40 pieces on any given night. It's going to be a fun matchup. I look forward to it. I'm excited about it. And as a person who does not hate Jalen Brunson, I look forward to a nice back and forth between these two.
For sure. And just to cover the rest of the matchups, I think this is how I think the Knicks will defend the Mavs. It'll be Brunson on Josh Green, Dante on Kyrie, Hart on Luka, Precious on Derek Jones Jr., Hart on if Lively was playing, but whoever your center is, that's who Hart's going to play tomorrow. Does that sound right with that? I'm assuming that's essentially what's going to happen for the Mavs too. I feel like that's the way to do it. You'd save Luka defensively, put him on Hart, not having to guard Brunson. Kyrie back on Dante. Josh Green, probably is going to do the same. We know he's going to guard Brunson. And I feel like it works both ways. We're not going to see a lot of switching.
Yeah, the only shift I could see is maybe Derek Jones Jr. on DiVincenzo from time to time. If DiVincenzo hits like 3-4 threes in a row or something, and they don't want Kyrie having to chase him around, that could happen. But other than that, yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay. All right. And there you have it. That's the matchup. So with that being said, we're not going to break down the benches. The benches are just, it is what it is. You got Grant Williams on that side. We got Deuce McBride on this side. But I'm going to go into my X factor though. My X factor for this game is none other than Deuce McBride himself, because this guy has been knocking down threes at a good clip. He's been shooting close to 40%, if not there's some. And then we're seeing him getting a little more comfortable getting downhill in games, especially when the opponent permits it. So with the Dallas Mavericks not being able to protect the paint, I do see Deuce McBride getting those opportunities to attack and drive in. And then defensively, look, if it's not Dante out there, I think it's going to be Deuce McBride trying to guard Kyrie Irving, because this is a guy who will match you full length, full court press every single time and try to slow you down. That is what Deuce McBride is all about. So he's my X factor for tomorrow's game. Who's your X factor?
My X factor has to be Josh Green. Again, he's the guy coming into the season. I expected him to be a guy who took a leap. He has not shown a consistency that I would like to see. When he plays well, if he gives us 15, 20 points, good things happen. When he doesn't play well, when he's scared to take shots, bad things happen. And so if we get good Josh Green tomorrow, you've mentioned Jalen's probably going to be guarding him. If he brings Jalen Brunson, makes Jalen Brunson have to defend, or makes the Knicks have to change those matchups because he's hitting his shots, he's driving, he's getting Jalen in foul trouble maybe, or getting Hart in foul trouble because he's putting pressure on the rim, that's going to change this game for the Dallas Mavericks.
Okay, there you have it. Yeah, I mean, there's other guys we could talk about. I mean, Hart, like, you'd want to see him get out in transition. Dante, I think if there's going to be anybody else, it's going to be Dante. He's not even an X factor at this point because he's just putting up so many shots per game. He's become that scorer that you need without Julius. So it's going to be the backcourt show of Brunson and Dante tomorrow, just like how it's going to be the backcourt show of Luka and Kyrie. Obviously, you guys got two superstars. We got one. So we'll see how that matchup goes. Hopefully Dante is feeling it tomorrow and drops another 30-point performance and is efficient, because that's what we need in order to stay in this game. But that's all I got, Bibs. That's all I got. And salute to Knicks Nation for tapping in today for another Game of the Week preview. Bibs, please let our listeners know where they could find you, and if you got anything we should be on the lookout for.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Bibs Corner. You can follow the show at Mavs Outsiders. I also have the website, bibscorner.com. I do movie reviews as well, so we'll get that thing rolling. I might have to do the awards here next month, so keep a look out for that. The podcast is Have You Seen? SCENE. But that's all I got right now.
Awesome. And I guess last thing, how do you think this game goes tomorrow? You think it's going to be a close one, or you think one team's just going to run away with it?
I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be something like 128, 130 or something like that. And it's going to come down to the wire and Brunson versus Luka teeing off, and we'll see who hits their shots.
120. Wow. That high scoring. Wow. That's going to be
no defense.
No defense. Okay. Fair enough. I can see the 120s. I feel you on that. Obviously, you're going to choose the Mavs. I'm going to choose the Knicks to win. So there we have it. But thank you all again for tuning in for another Game of the Week preview. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Make sure to share the links to all these videos. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And look, if you can't catch these shows live, the good thing is you can be part of the replay game. You can catch it anytime on YouTube. And if not, just go download the podcast on any audio listening platform, whether it be Apple or Spotify, wherever you get your audio listening, whatever audio listening platform you use. Make sure to go there and go subscribe to KnicksFanTV over there. Also, make sure to support the website. Make sure to go to knicksfantv.com to go support our writers. You get Remy's recaps. You got Jeff doing the pulse check on the Knicks. You got Jalen writing awesome articles as well. You got roundtables, everything. So make sure to go support the writers over at knicksfantv.com. And make sure to support our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code KFTV to get up to a $100 match. And salute to Knicks Nation once again, man. Thank you all for tuning in. Salute to the mods. TM, I see you in here. Appreciate you. Salute to the franchise channel members. Salute to my 2 cents. And salute to everybody who came in to get ready for tomorrow's game. I see you, Gatsby. I see you, G5 Wee. Salute to you. Cameron Goldberg. Salute to you as well. Brightest future. Salute. All right, everybody. We're going to be out of here. Make sure to tap in for post-game live tomorrow. Actually, let me rewind that. Make sure, one, go to the NBA report. We're going to have Combos Court dropping, so make sure to subscribe to the NBA report if you haven't done so already. We cover the league over there. Support our other channel. Also, tap in tomorrow when we cover the trade deadline. Around 3 p.m., we're going to be going live, so make sure to tap in here. We'll be simulcasting between KnicksFanTV and the NBA report, covering what happens tomorrow. And then, obviously, tap in for play-by-play and post-game tomorrow as well. We got you guys covered any way possible. All right, everyone. We'll catch you later. We out.